Hello, welcome back. I'm out for a walk today. I'm not out for a wild camp. I've just come for a local walk around my, around Sherwood Forest, which is where I live. Just want to test a few bits and bobs out. Firstly, the camera, and also this Synco G2 mic that I've just bought as well. So I'm currently talking to you on a brand new mic through a camera that I've never used before. So this might never see the light of day. So I am currently walking down towards what's called Archway House. I'll be walking along the banks of the River Mourne in a minute. Edwinstowe, the village of Edwinstowe, is behind me, and Sherwood Forest is all from there, all the way around Robin Hood's trees over there somewhere. I may get there today, I may not, we'll see how we go. So yeah, just a bit of a leg stretch and a play with the camera. I'm also using the new sort of selfie stick tripod type thing, thanks to a recommendation from Paul Messner. So far that's proven to be very, very good. I'll tell you more about that later, maybe. If we start talking kit, we might not. So yeah, I just thought I'd come out for a stroll. It's not the nicest of days, it's a little bit showery on and off, a bit of rain here and there, nothing fantastic. But I just fancied a stroll in the countryside, and I thought I would kill two birds with one stone, bring you lot along with me and test out my new gear. And we'll talk a little bit about wild camping and where I'm going with that. So yeah, talk to you in a little while. So that's Archway House. You can pause the video and read the little information plate if you wish. But I believe it was a folly built for somebody many years ago, and I think it was, I'll have to read that sign again. I've walked past it many times, and the kind of my my memory of it's a little bit hazy now because I've seen it that often. I believe up till about 50 years ago, from the house there was basically a path cut out of Sherwood Forest right the way through to what they call the central tree, and you could actually see it through the arch of that house. It later became a school, and I believe it was still working as a school up until the early 1900s. In fact, I believe up until recently at least, there were some people who still lived in the village of Edmonstowe who had actually gone to school there. It's a private residence now. Obviously, as you've seen, they sell free range eggs if you would like to pop in and buy a dozen. This is called Archway Road. It's marked on the map, easy enough to find. But yeah, that's Archway House. I'm currently walking up the sort of western edge of Sherwood Forest. Come this way because it's a bit quieter. Being Sunday, the main part of the forest does get quite busy, and a few people on mountain bikes whizzing past me. But other than that, I'm pretty much on my own. Now, somewhere over here is a small pond, and it's called the Black Pool. And I can never remember exactly where it is, and unfortunately I've got the OS Maps app running, but for some reason I haven't downloaded the whole map for this area. So and I'm in a bit of a bad signal area here, so it's not populating the map, and it's kind of, the Black Pool's kind of buried in the forest over there somewhere. If I can spot it, I'll take you for a look. So that little erected stone there was, if you read the script, was for where the site of a royal chapel was many years ago, and the site of a hermitage where a hermit lived. Hermits were often paid by rich landowners, in this case I believe the Duke of Portland, to live on their land, and they were sort of an early tourist attraction. So when the friends and guests of these landowners would come to stay, they were taken for a walk around the grounds, and the hermits were a point of interest to talk about. And according to that plaque there, in the early 13th century, the king heard the hermits sing at Clipston, I believe, which is the next village over, and because he was so impressed by his singing, he awarded him what I think is a 40 shilling stipend, an annual payment, which was paid by subsequent kings according to that. And apparently that building, that chapel, was still marked on the map up as late as 1610, so that was going back to 1200, which is around the time of Robin Hood, I believe. Draw your own conclusions. It's raining quite heavily now. So I've taken the, what do you call it? The mod, media mod. I've taken that off the GoPro and put the remote mic away. So I'm back on just the naked GoPro and the wind slayer. So I'm hoping this is hearing me okay. Just packing away my Stormin Cone. Have a look, have a Google. Unfortunately you can't get these anymore. Norman sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Great shame, but it's a cracking stove. Just waiting for the water to cool off a bit before I pour it on my coffee bag. Handy beavers. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, so I'm just sitting on a log in Sherwood Forest. It's raining. I'm relatively sheltered here. I'm sitting under a few fairly young oak trees, and they're keeping me relatively dry. So I thought I'd stop for a brew. Let's chuck some water on there, the old coffee bag, and get that mashing. Lovely jubbly. Leave that for a couple of minutes to get going. So what's been happening? Well, I haven't been wild camping for a while, that's for sure. A couple of years now since I last ventured out. And when I did last venture out, I thought I was all mended. I did say in one of my previous videos that I had some issues with anxiety coming out wild camping. I don't know why, I still don't understand it. I thought I'd nailed it, and I was buzzing, I was all revved up to go, and then got hold of me again, and I just couldn't get out. I just couldn't find the... I'll tell a lie, there were times when I felt like I could go out, but other things got in the way, whether it be work or family commitments or weather, that kind of stuff, all sort of got in the way and stopped me from going. And it just all built up, and I ended up making the foolish decision, and I sold my MLD Geomid. I sold it. I had instant regret. I knew I'd done the wrong thing. No, it felt like the right thing to do at the time, because basically, because I wasn't going out very much, I had this really expensive lump of fabric sitting in a cupboard, doing absolutely nothing, and every time I kind of couldn't muster myself to go out while camping, that was preying on my mind that I had this really expensive piece of kit sitting there and it wasn't getting used, and that was making the anxiety worse. And I just made the decision to sell it. Nothing else. I didn't sell any other gear. I just sold that because it was worth an awful lot of money. I didn't need the cash, but it seemed like the right thing to do, and I still believe that it was the right thing to do, because it's had a kind of a very positive effect. It was instant regret as I watched the guy drive away from my house with a wad of cash in my back pocket. It was instant regret. However, over the last couple of months, that's preyed on my mind, and it's gradually built up, and I kind of picked up on a couple of videos from Paul Messner and Hayes Outdoors, Andy Beavers, usual suspect, and I just found myself watching them again and thinking, I'm ready, I want to do it again. But what I didn't want to do was go out and spend an absolute fortune on another tent for the same thing to happen. So if you look at my previous video, I've just done a sort of a first look type thing at the Wild Country Helm Compact 2. Nice little tent. It's not my ideal, but it didn't cost me an awful lot of money, and I can justify having that sat in a cupboard doing nothing if I don't want to go out. So that's the thinking. Anyway, on a more positive note, I'm now fighting fit again, and I can't wait to get out. I should have been out last night, but the winds, this is the 1st of October today, is it? Yeah, I believe it's the 1st of October today, Sunday, if that's right. I was going to go out last night over to Bleaklow, but looking at the forecast, it was like 40-45 mile an hour gusts all night, 30 miles an hour constant, and I just thought, nah, That doesn't sound like much fun. So I sacked it off and I thought I'd just come out for a local walk around Sherwood Forest, have a play with my camera. I'm using the GoPro Hero 10, which I bought after my last wild camp 2 years ago. Fully intend on using it. I put a battery in it, I looked at it once, switched it on, switched it off, put it back in its case, and it went in a drawer, and I've never touched it since, until this week when I've got it out and started playing with it. And I've also bought a Synco G2 remote mic as well, which goes with the media mod on the GoPro. I would use it on my phone, but unfortunately I left the there's a different lead for the camera and the phone, and unfortunately I've left the lead for the phone at home. So this is now being recorded on the GoPro. Waffle. Load of nonsensical waffle. Oh, this is a bit warm, this coffee bed. So yeah, thought I'd come for a wander around Sherwood Forest, and it's lovely, to be honest. It's raining a bit, but you know, hey, it's England in October. What do you expect? And I just fancied a brew, so I thought I'd stop. I will take that away with me. That's not staying in the woods. That is going back home. See what this is like. Cheers. Yeah, there's some lovely walks around here. I mean, obviously most people come to Sherwood Forest to visit, and they go to the visitor centre and then off to the Major Oak. But if you venture beyond that, where I am now, I'm over sort of on the sort of northwestern corner of the forest. I think if I can work out how to do it, I'll put my GPX file up on in the comments, in the description below. And I've basically just wandered up the sort of western edge of the forest, and because it's a bit quiet around this way, and then I just picked a trail, a little random tiny track coming off through the forest. There were loads of them. I've just followed it and waited until I found a little bit of a clearing with a log, and so there's a footpath running just here behind me. I just wanted to find somewhere to sit, and it's lovely, nice and peaceful. Nobody's come past me yet. I've not seen anybody since I stopped, which is good because I get a bit nervous when I'm recording. Don't know why. So there you go. There you go. Just a nice little wander out. So I've got a few new bits of kit that I'll be playing with, but I'll talk to you more about them when I actually do my next wild camp, which hopefully will be within the next week or two. I've got the opportunity, I just need the weather. And as long as the weather's half decent, I'll be out for a camp. Anyway, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to enjoy my coffee. I'm going to put all this stuff away and go for a bit of a further walk. I think I'm probably about 2 or 3 miles away from home. I don't know, I've just wandered. I haven't really got a clue where I am. I'm just in the forest somewhere. Got a decent GPX, decent map on your phone, you can easily find your way back. It's not the back of beyond, but carry on. Beyond here, you can actually work your way right the way through to Clumber Park, and then beyond that, you can actually walk pretty much off-road all the way up to sort of Rother Valley Park in Sheffield. Myself and my friend Dave tried to do that a couple of years ago, on like the hottest day of the year or something ridiculous. We didn't quite make it. I think we ended up doing about 50 miles, 60 miles, something like that, but we didn't quite get there. We had to turn back. On mountain bikes that was, not walking, I hasten to add. So yeah, just sitting enjoying the rain. I saw somebody asking on Facebook about alcohol stoves versus gas stoves the other day. I don't own a gas stove now. I've got the Stormin Cone, and I've got a speedster stove as well, and it's all I use. I can't ever see any reason why I would go back to gas. I don't cook, I don't sort of fry bacon and sausages and stuff like that. I'm not into all that. Any food that I have while I'm out camping or walking is just dehydrated stuff or a cup of coffee. So all I really do is boil water, and I would much rather have a silent flickering flame rather than a roaring furnace going on next to me. And yes, it takes a little bit longer to boil some water, but
I'm sitting on a log in the middle of the woods listening to birds tweeting and the rain pitter-pattering on the trees above me. I'm not in any rush, to be quite honest. Certainly not enough of a rush to worry about an extra 2 minutes on a boil time or whatever. Probably took about 7 or 8 minutes to boil, maybe, something like that. It's not the end of the world. Sat here, did a bit of kit admin. Watched a squirrel running around over there. This is kind of sort of managed woodland now. A lot of pine trees around, but they're interspersed with what I'm sitting under a couple of old, young oak trees now. There's a bigger oak tree behind me, an older one. There's beech, birch, silver birch, sycamore and ash, hazel trees all scattered around. It's sort of interspersed with deciduous trees, as well as the managed pines. They've done quite a nice job. It's a pleasant place to walk. It doesn't feel like, if you go down the road to Sherwood Pines, where the mountain bike track is and that kind of stuff, I mean, it's nice walking on there, but it is purely a managed woodland. There isn't much variety. It's all pine, whereas Sherwood Forest, as much as some of it is managed, they have done a really good job of keeping some of the more traditional trees growing as well. It's nice. Anyway, enough waffle. Coffee time. Catch you in a bit. So remember, folks, even if you just stop in for a quick brew in the forest, leave no trace. Nobody would know I was here. Leave no trace. So behind me is the centre tree. When we were down at Archway House earlier on, and I said that there used to be a track, a swathe cut out of Sherwood Forest so that they could see the centre tree through the arch of the house. This is the centre tree. It's not the Robin Hood tree. The Robin Hood major oak is further over that way, but this is the centre tree. It's quite an impressive old oak tree. If I turn you around and give you a better look, it's an impressive old tree, and every time I've been up to it during summer, we may still see some hanging around, there is almost always a honeybee nest in there. When you come up in summer, I can just see one or two still buzzing around. When you come up in summer, they're buzzing everywhere. There's loads of them. So I need to make a decision now. Do I carry going on this way and go down to the major oak, or do I take this track here, which takes me pretty much straight back to my house? I think I'll have a wander down to the major oak. Come with me. So around Sherwood Forest you'll see several of these gated enclosures, all fenced off. You're perfectly entitled to walk through them. The reason they're there is in the summertime they bring down some English longhorn cattle, and they release them into the woodland in these sort of paddocked areas. The idea being that they eat a lot of the brambles and other sort of invasive plants
that are taking over the woodland, hoping to sort of rewild it and regenerate it slightly, bringing things like blueberries, I think, back, something like that. But yeah, that's what these are for. So that's the famous major oak. As you can see, it's showing its age. Allegedly the home of Robin Hood, if you believe that stuff. It's now held up on pit props on metal posts and supported by wires, etc. It's not in a very good state of health. Apparently it needs some attention. Apparently the soil condition underneath it's not very good, and there are plans underway to improve that and hopefully help it to live a little bit longer. But I think they age at about 900, 1,000 years old, something like that, so it's not doing too bad. I'm coming back into the busier parts of the forest now, and there's loads of people around, so I'm not going to do any more recording, other than I'll give you a quick look at the new visitor centre. It's a pretty building, but if you come in here to see the legend of Robin Hood, there's not a lot in that visitor centre that will tell you about it. The old visitor centre, which is over here, used to have like a Robin Hood exhibition, and it was like all interactive for the kids and stuff. I mean, it was knocking on a bit, but at least it told you the story of Robin Hood. There's very little in this new visitor centre about the legend at all. It's quite disappointing, really. Not that I believe in all that stuff, but you know, it's just it's nice for the tourists, and it's nice to be part of that sort of history, if you like. But yeah, the forest is now managed by the RSPB. And they're focusing heavily on the wildlife and sustainability and all this kind of stuff, which is great. But all you'll find in the visitor centre now is a cafe and a small gift shop type thing. I think they've got a couple of like classrooms where they do courses and things, which is good. It's all good. But yeah, not much about Robin Hood. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said, I'll just show you a few bits around the visitor centre as I walk past. I'm heading back into Edwinstowe village itself now. So I'll give you a few more shots of the visitor centre, etc., as I come round, and the cricket pitch and all that kind of stuff that's nearby. And hope you've enjoyed the little whirlwind tour of Sherwood Forest. The purpose of this whole exercise was just really to test the camera and the microphones, etc. So I'm curious to see the difference in the audio, switching back from the wireless mic to the Windslayer and the built-in mic when the rain came. So yeah, we'll see how it all comes out, and I hope you'll join me again for some more adventures. Hopefully the next one will be a wild camp. Fingers crossed, and all being well. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I shall catch you all later. You take care now. Thank you. Bye bye.